Hey y'all, welcome to my mini series process chat where I bring conversations around getting started in business, exit planning, and everything in between. I'm Adriana, your operations guide to helping you build processes so you can focus on progress. Today's episode is about building a positive and productive team environment. So first, just jumping in, I want to talk about policies equal your culture. Whenever you're bringing people in, honestly, before you bring people in, you need to have like your boundaries and how you want the environment to be prior. And this is, of course, an ideal world where you can actually do these things. But ideally, you want to have the culture kind of built in as you add people. So whenever things pop up, you already have it built in. So like that starts off with your boundaries, like how do you work right now? If you were to bring people in, how does that look? All that good stuff. So pretty much you're just creating the rules. You're setting the foundation beforehand. So like I talked about this last week. So there's not a whole lot to say in this particular one. It's just a matter of make sure you design the environment before you bring people on, and of course just make adjustments as you see fit. Now if you're in like a corporate setting where you're joining a team and you can't necessarily create these things, the best advice I can give you here is to just make sure you just build it out for your team. So like if you're in control of a team, build it out for them. Like you should follow what the company has, but we know sometimes companies tend to be a little behind when it comes to that. But if you're in charge and they trust you to do the job or you get the job done well, build out different like rules for your team only. Like you don't have to follow let me not say that. You can, I'm suggesting this. Let me say that. I'm suggesting this. So like don't take word for word saying screenshot, say I told you to do this. This is a mere suggestion. So I would suggest creating the atmosphere yourself. So like if you know that you have maybe like a lot of parents on your team, you may want to implement maybe more flexibility with the rules. So like maybe you may create something like just for your department or your team. As long as you do these tasks by XYZ, I don't care when you do them. So little things like that. It depends again, like where you are set, but you can create policies for just your little team. And I'll say even like for myself, when I've joined like I guess they call it fractional now, but when I've joined teams as like an acting operations manager, even though the company may have had different policies or different rules placed, when I came in, for me, I don't like being in unnecessary meetings. So like one of the things, like unless it's absolutely necessary, we'll have like a meeting. Other than that, I'm going to send you like a quick overcap email. I'll send you like now, I use like Loom or like record. At the time I was doing like recorded text messages, whatever worked. But like anything I could do to avoid meetings, so I could actually get like work done, I would implement that. And like the people I worked alongside with, because that was the policy I set or like the rules I set within our group, things flowed a lot better because like we weren't constantly stop and hop into a meeting, made sure everyone knew they were clear on goals and all this stuff. But overall, if you want to have like if you want to build like a culture where people like things are calm, they're productive, you have to build it into your policies first. So there's that. The second thing is having clear end goals. I can't say how often that people will bloat their to-do list because they feel like they have to constantly be working to be productive. And that is the furthest from the truth. And even with today's time, like we know we have AI, we have so many tools at our disposal for us to still think that you need to work like a full 40 hours. There's certain people, like some people do require that much time, but like there's a good bit of jobs where it doesn't require 40 hours a week. Like as long as you have like a clear end goal, you need to do X, Y, Z, you have the end goal in mind, it gets done, move on to the next thing. So the same thing goes to when you're building out the environment for your team. Make sure you have a clear end in mind. You actually have clear goals as well, because a lot of people put, maybe not a lot, let me not lump everybody in the group, but like some people will say, oh, we want to make X amount, but they don't have like a clear pathway to get there. Or we want to be more visible. They don't have a clear pathway for that. First, you need to make sure you have a clear pathway, and you need to make sure you have an actual end goal in mind too. Sometimes we know things happen. The end goal may not be on the exact day or time frame you want, but you know you are working towards it. So one of the best ways you can do to build out like a more productive team is to have clearly defined goals, and make sure it just aligns with what you guys are working towards, like your priorities. Yeah, that's that's all I have to say there. Like, make sure you're clear, you have an end goal, and you guys are consistently working with that. And the final thing I want to say is to document, but be flexible. So I say this so often, but documentation really helps with how you're navigating business. And said this past episodes too, but whenever you're building business systems are nothing more than our step-by-step processes. And there's a lot more into it, but like all it is just a group of our processes, tools, and all the stuff that we use. So like when you think about it, businesses is nothing more than just a big combination of all the steps we're taking in business. When you actually take the time to document these things, it's so much easier to like refer back to and figure out what your next point is, goals, all that stuff. So if that provides clarity for you, it's going to provide clarity for your team. So like you want to make sure you actually have things documented, not only for yourself for like exit strategies and stuff, but you want to make sure you have it so that way your team can actually get work done. This is where like the trainings and stuff come in. If documentation is not on your priority list, highly recommend that you do that. And when I talk about documentation, it's just simply writing things down, get it out of your head, get it on paper. I know a lot of people say that, but if there's a lot of people saying it, maybe it's something worth looking into and actually doing or starting. So make sure you document. And I like to tell people too, like, it doesn't have to be just, you have to write down things in a notebook. Documenting just simply mean jotting things down. And I like notebook papers. I say that a lot, but like, it can look like getting a Word document, writing stuff down. I've gotten to the habit now where I'll put things in my notebook, like my digital notebook on my phone, take notes, and then I'll follow up and put something like a Google document in one of the folders that I have for my company. But whatever that looks like, it just looks like you getting it down. Some people prefer recording and maybe like getting transcripts out of the recordings that they do and then just breaking it up that way. Whatever documentation looks like for you, make sure you start creating that habit early. Same thing goes with like the policy and stuff when you're setting the company culture. Whenever you're doing, you need to make sure things are a habit first before you have other people trying to do it. Because like if you're bringing a team in, you want this productive workforce, you want things to be calm, but you never took the time to make sure this environment was calm. It's going to be hard to portray it that way because it wasn't something that you've done in the beginning. So like everything else, you need to start it off first and it continues on. So like when you're documenting, make sure you're documenting all this stuff because again, one, if it's not documented, it doesn't exist. And if it doesn't exist, your team's not going to be able to follow anything. So make sure you document things. And another reminder too, when you document things, it is not set in stone. Document our processes, the steps that we take are fluid. Things are constantly going to be changing. So like make sure you're keeping up the documentation or putting somebody on the team to keep up with it for you because these are going to change. Your team may find a different way how they do things and make it more productive. So you want to make sure, yes, you have documentation, but be aware that it's not going to be set in stone. It's not like a one thing, oh, I wrote it down, I'm done type of thing. Like I would love that more than anything, but it's not truth. So the main things, we'll do a quick recap. I know this is like a really short episode, but I don't want to drag it on if I don't need to. So first we have policies equal your culture. So making sure, and policies are nothing, I call it like your rule book. Your policies are just the rules you set inside the business or company. And again, if you're joining if you're joining a company that already has these things preset, don't be afraid to establishing like your own rules with your own team. If you're in charge of a team, build out your own. It makes it a whole lot easier. So policies equal culture, set the groundwork first and then start adding your team into it. Next is the clarity. What did I put? Have clear end goals. Almost forgot. Have clear end goals because you guys are working towards something. So what is that something and what are the steps to get there? And then finally, document, but be flexible because yes, we're writing things down and yes, it makes it real, but documentation changes and processes change. So when your processes change, your documentation needs to change as well. So those are my clear things. If you want to build a more productive team environment, these are some of the things that you can do to get started. Other than that, that's all I got for you guys today. I have one more episode coming next week, and let me see what that was. Oh, setting your new hires up for success before day one. So I'll talk about that. And after that, that is pretty much it. I'm hoping I'll return with this maybe in the fall. If not, it may be next spring that I do these. But overall, we have that. And I'm trying to think while I have this here. I totally forgot my little clicker. If you like this episode, feel free to find me on LinkedIn, send me a message. I always love reading you guys' messages that are actually watching this or leaving comments on YouTube. So I truly appreciate that. And also too, if you are somebody that wants to build out a better team environment, feel free to book a free audit. I put the link down below, or you can send me a message and we can get that set up for you. I'll pretty much just be listening to you, figuring out what you need, coming up with solutions, and we'll just go from there. Other than that, hope to see y'all. Join me next week for the last episode for like season 1. I guess I'll call it season. I don't know. And and if you also want to stay in touch, make sure you join the email list and the Facebook group, Business a Lazy Way. Other than that, I will see y'all next week.